All right, welcome Rosy from First Southwest Community Fund. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. And good morning, everyone. This is Happy Wednesday, Hump Day. Um, we are First Southwest Community Fund, like Vanessa mentioned. My name is Rosy McDonough. I'm the executive director for the organization. And with me, I have the pleasure to have our senior lending specialist, Naya Rodriguez. Naya, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Everybody. My name is Naya Rodriguez. I was born and raised here in the San Luis Valley. I'm rural to my heart. So it's good to be here with you guys.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to get it started, and please feel free to put all your questions in the chat room, and we will go over, some really useful information for your business. So I want to let you know. Yes, go ahead.
But just before we get started, Rosy, cake or pie?
I put cake in
Oh,
there in the chat room.
I love that. Love
Yeah,
it.
I love cake. I'm not a pie girl.
That's awesome. I have a lot of cakes I love. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so, First Southwest Community Fund was created in 2015 by First Southwest Bank, and the purpose of doing that is, let me just make sure that okay. The purpose of we doing that is creating some new types of funding. We're headquartered in Alamosa, Colorado, but we serve the entire rural Colorado community. Um, we know that unlike the rest of the state, rural Colorado has not felt the same levels of increased economic prosperity for post recession, and then we actually have the three most persistent poverty counties in the rural South. What we do is we foster tangible economic opportunities with non-traditional capital or loans. And then we also have some programs in which we do some grants for emerging and existing small businesses. What that creates in our community is retain and new jobs. It also enables for us to promote economic development in distressed communities, and then we help create also a better environment for our communities economically. And then when we fund a local business, we know that that local business is going to hire employees locally, so that is an incredible a critical community infrastructure that we are creating. um, this is our mission. What we do is we support this entrepreneurial spirit, and what better way to do it than investing in people, their culture, their ideas, for innovation and financial knowledge, to prioritize access to equitable capital to those who have been traditionally excluded. We understand that minorities and women in our communities are probably the last ones getting some good loans, or they are considered to get capital through a regular bank. This is our team. We are small but mighty. We have myself, we have Sam, which some of you have had contact with Sam Corcoran. She is our impacts and operations deputy manager. Recently, she was promoted. Naya Rodriguez, she's our senior lending specialist, and she's here with us today. And then Yanni Rodriguez is our lending specialist. Sometime at some point, you probably had a chance to talk to some of us. Let me go back to, I hope I'm in the right. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what impact we had in 2024. In 2024, we did quite a bit of work. We had about 19 loans. We did 57 grants, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute. We created 4 jobs officially, and then sometimes this information just comes from the reporting that we get from small businesses. In total, we invested almost 1.4 million in our communities. 52% of those were women-owned businesses. 26% is people of color, like we call BIPOC. 94% was rural. So as you can see, the majority of our investment is in rural communities, and 52% were startups. What happens sometimes is we work with the bank when we have a large request for a loan. We work with First Southwest Bank, and what you see on the lower right corner of your screen is the impact that we had together. Together, we helped 133 businesses in 49 Colorado communities, and we've invested $91 million ever since we were created. These numbers are not necessarily exclusive for 2024. It's just for the entire duration that we've been. And these are two examples of businesses that we funded that we feel very proud of. Better Cleaning Services in Alamosa, Colorado, and J4 Electric in Alamosa, Colorado as well. And if you live in Alamosa, you're probably going to be seeing some of those businesses like moving around your community. I want to talk to you about the lending. The programs that we have in lending are listed right here. You can find more detail. We're going to go over those, but you can find more details in our website, fswcf.org, and you can see some more detail. Also, Vanessa is going to share this slideshow right after the session. So we have Rural Women-Led Business Fund, which is an extremely successful program for us. We have Fortaleza Fund, Climber, Socially Disadvantaged Farmers and Ranchers Fund, and Intermediary Relending Program. In terms of grants for small businesses, we have two programs, Rural Women-Led Business Fund and Fortaleza Fund, and we're going to talk to you a little bit more about that. And then for education, we have Rural Women-Led Business Fund again, Fortaleza Fund, and then we also do some additional Launchbox webinars. Towards the end of the year, we're going to have some technology classes that are super interesting. That if your expertise is not necessarily technology and IT and social media and all those things, this woman that we have partnered with, GeekPack in Durango, she's going to be teaching some of our classes, and that would be extremely helpful for you. So I'm going to start with the loan programs, and here I'm not the expert, but Naya is. So I'm going to let her go through some of these. And Naya, if you want to just tell me how to move through the slides, just do like a little sign. Thank you.
So starting from the top, we've got the Climber Loan Fund. This program is designed to support the rural businesses that have been uniquely affected in the past few years with a broad need to rebuild, recover, and grow. So this is a great program for us to use for existing businesses who are just trying to get back up on their feet again. We all went through that pandemic that kind of knocked us down, and this one helps a lot with that recovery. The Fortaleza Fund is designed to give access to funding and education for immigrant entrepreneurs and small businesses in rural Colorado through loans, education, and technical assistance. So this is anybody who identifies as an immigrant, those who came from immigrant descent, those who were born here with immigrant descendants. So that one's a good program to use for us. The Rural Women-Led Business Fund, this one is designed to give access to funding and education for women entrepreneurs and small businesses in rural Colorado through loans, education, and technical assistance. So this one's tailored to our women-led businesses, even businesses who are majority owned by women, so 51% owned by women. This is a great program to use for those type of businesses. The Socially Disadvantaged Farmers and Ranchers Fund is a financially inclusive lending program which utilizes alternative forms of documentation for qualification, offering funding to startup farmers, ranchers, as well as agriculturally supported businesses. So this is one that we use because we noticed there was not very many programs for our ag lenders or our ag community. In the San Luis Valley, specifically where I'm from, we have a lot of ag businesses. So this one was great when it first came out. And then the intermediary lending program, referred to as IRP, provides a longer term fixed rate loans to businesses in rural communities that create jobs. So this one is for our bigger loans. This one ranges up to 250,000, which allows us to be able to provide those longer terms for repayment. Go ahead, Rosy. So the climber fund, a couple of specific parameters. We've got a couple of levels with the climber fund. We have loans up to 150,000 in our level one. Those ones are at a 4% interest rate, 5-year term, and the use of capital is for working capital and operating needs. So if you've got these businesses, like I said, that have been established for a little bit, this would be the program that we can use. This is also a program that can be used in all of Colorado if we have, something that's going to be very impactful. Level 2 loans, you've got 150,000 to 500,000 at 4.5% interest rate up to a 10-year term. These are for existing businesses, so this one we can't put any startups into. And you do have to be located in Colorado to be able to utilize this program. Go ahead, Rosy. Fortaleza Fund. So this one provides loans from 10,000 up to 50,000, and we focus on accessible capital for immigrant entrepreneurs. This one has a very, very appealing interest rate of 1% for loans that are 10,000, 3% for loans that are 10,001, and over that amount is 3%. There are exceptions that we can make for loans over 50,000 if we run into the situation where we need loans that are a little bit higher than that 50,000 threshold. We do have a little bit of flexibility with those. The grants that are offered through Fortaleza, we offer grants to students. We do workshops for this program. That it's really nice because we've been able to tailor to a different kind of community, I guess, who only speaks Spanish. And we've been able to bring that education to those Spanish speakers through this specific fund. And it's been great, it's very successful. The regions where this is located is the San Luis Valley and then Southwest Colorado.
Perfect. And it's also important to mention here, we are working on some additional funding for this program and the Rural Women-Led Business Fund. And we will be able to offer these in the entire state. As long as you are located in a rural area, we're going to be able to expand that into northern western slope and then northeast plains. Little by little, we're going to have more capacity to do these loans in different regions in rural Colorado.
Right, Rural Women-Led Business Fund. This fund has grown significantly. We've done a lot of workshops with this loan. We've been able to reach a lot of people throughout Colorado to attend them. Just as important as our funding is, our education is just as important, not even more important. This fund, we do have a couple of parameters for it. So we've got loans, 10,000 or below. Again, very favorable interest rates, 1% with a 5-year term. Loans 10,001 to 35,000 or 2.5% interest rate for a 5-year term. And for those businesses who need a little bit more working capital to make it a little easier for repayment, loans 35,001 up to 75,000, a 3% interest rate for a 10-year term.
And what we have here is some testimonials of businesses that have gone through not only the grant educational trainings, but also, they have been able to receive loans right after those trainings. So we have Nadia Valdez and then Vanessa Trinidad. And so somebody yesterday was asking me, why are we using Spanish in, in our trainings and then in our slideshows? And what we are trying to do is we're trying to have provide access to the information that we have and the trainings that we have at the First Southwest Community Fund, because the the demographic that we're covering and our entrepreneurs, they are not always English speaking. So we are an organization that is going to provide trainings and education, and also information in both languages, just because we want to make sure and we recognize that the communities we serve have that need. So thank you, Naya.
Socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers fund. Again, this one's dear to my heart. This was a program that came out to help our businesses, our ranchers. A lot of times we've got programs specifically for ag and ranchers that they have to be established businesses in order to be able to gain access to capital. So this program allowed us to do startup businesses, which was a game changer. We do have some parameters for this one as well. So a 4% fixed interest rate, which is wonderful. A term note of 1 to 20 years, depending on what the purpose of the loan is for. And then 1.5% loan fee, which is lower than a typical 2%. And then we can do loans up to 250,000. So this one's great for if you're wanting to purchase real estate, if you've got a big piece of equipment you're wanting to purchase, things along that line. This one is great for.
And this program is with the Colorado Department of Agriculture. So that's one of our partners. Is there a question somewhere? Okay, we'll keep going.
Okay, we have the IRP program, Intermediary Relending Program. So this one is also really great program through USDA, which allows us to do loans up to $250,000. The primary reason that we use this one is more for like real estate purchases. You can do business acquisitions with this one. The business must be located in rural Colorado, so this one doesn't expand to all of Colorado. They do have interest rates that vary up to 4% of or Wall Street Journal Prime plus 2.5%, which is about typical right now in the market. And then the loans do go up to 10 years. So the other cool thing about this program is if you've got a nonprofit, there's not a lot of options for nonprofit lending. And so we are able to offer nonprofit lending through the IRP program.
And again, these are some testimonials of businesses we've been able to work with through these programs. So you will receive a copy of these slides, and then you can revise, who they are, and then maybe Google them or something, just to learn a little bit more about them. So I'm going to make a stop really quick here. And the reason is I want to make sure that we are answering all the questions. Vanessa put a comment here on the chat. She said a lot of folks have been asking about Climber loans lately. Great to have the information. And yes, Climber was created right after the pandemic. I think it was just launched in 2021. And the First Southwest Community Fund was able to receive a new round of funding, which we're very grateful for. And just working with, I'm so sorry, I'm getting a little sick here. But just having the funds to be able to help businesses. I mean, Climber is fairly specific, and Naya can correct me if I'm wrong, but the business has to be existing, and they have to also be profitable. However, when you have a project for either expansion or you need some money for a different project, these funds are extremely helpful. So if you have any questions about that, please make sure you put them in the chat, and then we will answer those. Perfect. Thank you, Naya. And if somebody knows about how to work through the programs, is definitely Naya. Naya has been with us for a long, long time. She's probably our longest standing employee for the community fund, correct?
Yeah, so I've I used prior to working for the community fund, I worked for First Southwest Bank for 12 years. So I got to see the community fund as a baby. I seen it grow. I was processing documents for the loans, moved into the front line and started actually closing loans with our Spanish speakers. So I've got to see this thing from beginning till now. And so it's very, very deep in my heart.
Ooh, I see a good question in the chat, Rosie, for you from Diane.
Yes. Diane, do you want to send me? I know that your question is pretty specific for your nonprofit. Would you like to send me over an email? I will put Naya and my email here on the chat so you can send us your question and then maybe make an appointment with us. As the sooner the better, obviously. So let me just put that here and then we can just, we can answer your specific questions and move through that. Thank you so much, Diane.
Yeah, and thank you, Rosie, and I really appreciate this presentation. I'm going to go ahead and pause.
Oh,
So,
I haven't finished.
oh, sorry.
Is that
Sorry.
I just have like three more. That's it.
Oh, no, I am so sorry. That's
And
my
this is
bad.
no, that's okay. And this is probably the most interesting part for a lot of the folks here. So we have education and grant programs. And the way we do this is we have a startup entrepreneurship series that is very, very short. It's a 4-session class in which if you attend the 4 sessions, you will receive a $400 seed grant upon completion. We are now starting on April 29, the next one, which is going to be conducted in Spanish with simultaneous interpretation to English. So we always provide both languages available. Leading Edge for Business is an 8-week course, and this is in conjunction with one of our partners, the Small Business Development Center. The one we are starting at the end of May is with the San Luis Valley SBDC. And at the end of the program, if you attend all the classes, you get $2,000. So that's really great seed funding for your business. We know that that's not going to make it or break it, but it's a good push, Then this is the one that I mentioned to you, Introduction to Technology series with Geekback. So that is also going to be in our calendar. And Take Your Business to the Web is again with Geekback. Let me just go through this really quickly. This is our theory of change. Obviously, you can read it. You can, it's nothing different from what we've been talking about here. And last but not least, I want to talk to you about the next educational sessions that we have. We have a credit builder workshop for those of you that don't have or that have very limited credit history. These we do in conjunction with the bank. And the next session that we have is April 23rd from 2 to 3:30. It's kind of like a lunchbox series, and it's super interesting, the things that you can do with your credit if you know what you're doing. So this is a really great program. Startup Entrepreneurship Series starts on April 29th, like I mentioned to you. Um, oh gosh, and I don't know why it says they're 8 to 10 p.m., which is not correct. It's 6 to 8 p.m. We would never have you in a classroom that late, of course. 6 to 8 p.m. And I'm sorry, I'm going to correct that before I send it over to you again, Vanessa. And then Leading Edge for Business Foundations. Again, these are both in Spanish. It starts on May 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. This is in conjunction with the SLB SBDC. This is the $400 one, number 2, and the number 3 is the $2,000 one. So I'll correct those dates and everything. I apologize for that. This is how you can keep in touch with us. If you want to receive our newsletter, please go ahead and use this QR code. And we have other things to stay connected. These are our partners and funders. So you can check them. We have some really great partners here listed. We always are looking for new funders and new partners, and if you know of any organization that wants to partner with the community fund, just please send me an email. And that's it. Sorry, Vanessa.
You are good, Rosie. Thank you so much. Do you mind going back to the climber loan slide? We've had a couple questions come in about that. Specifically, I think folks are curious if the climber loan requires collateral. I see Naya gave a response. Thank you, Naya. Appreciate that in the comments. Does anyone want to ask a question live while we're on this slide?
So I'll touch base a little bit on that collateral just because we did get a couple of questions. So we do have loans if they're in the smaller range, like $10,000 and under, where we can entertain an unsecured loan, depending on your repayment in your business. You know, we'll take a look at the business plan, you know, the current financials that we have. So there's a lot of different things that come into play when we're making that decision, but usually it's about 10,000 and less. Anything above that, most of the programs with our funders, they do want us to seek collateral, whether that's, you know, using a vehicle title or using the equipment that you're going to be purchasing, the real estate that you're going to be purchasing. If you let us know what the purpose of the business loan is for, and we can help you guys to determine what can be used as collateral on those. And it looks like I did see another question about being able to stack the loans, the loan programs. We do have that option to where we can stack the loan program. So, for example, we've had businesses who have gotten a Fortaleza loan that we also conjunction with a Real Woman-led loan. It's nice when we can do that because we are able to separate that risk between the two funds. So we can do that for, you know, depending on your purpose of your loan and what you're trying to accomplish. There is a way that we can stack those loans.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Naya. That's super helpful info. I appreciate it.
One more piece of information, Vanessa. So let's say, for example, you have a really big project. We've been working with some of our local organizations, you know, where they require $1 or $2 million, and that's probably very outside of the parameters of the community fund. What we do there is we bring First Southwest Bank, and First Southwest Bank will carry the heavier part of that request. And then what we do is we function as a gap funder, or we function as a down payment funder. And so that's very useful. And, you know, having a big brother, big sister that can help us with that, and we can continue to serve our rural businesses in conjunction with the bank.
Excellent. Yeah, that is super helpful. Thank you so much for clarifying. This has been such helpful information. We've had great questions already in the chat. But here's where I will stop our recording. And as a reminder, I will send all of this info out and make sure you have Rosie and Naya's contact information so you can follow up.